Today's discussion will be about control and coordination. We'll be dealing this chapter in two different videos. Coming to our first part on today, we will be having a brief introduction about control and coordination. And as we all know, coordination and control can take place in both animals and plants. So in today's video, we'll be focusing about control and coordination in animals, which include only about the nervous system part. To begin with, control and coordination. In animals, the nervous system and the endocrine system are responsible for the control and coordination in animals. Control and coordination. To begin with, let's start up with control and coordination in animals. In animals, the nervous system and the endocrine system or the hormonal system are responsible for the control and coordination. Before we begin to our topic, let us learn some important terminologies. To begin with, what are receptors? Receptors are specialized tips of the nerve fibers that collect the information to be conducted by the nerves. Receptors are the sense organs of animals. Receptors include phonoreceptors in the inner ear, photoreceptors in the eye, thermoreceptors on the skin, olfactory receptors for smell, and the gustatory receptors for taste. These are classified as phonoreceptors, which are present in the ear, and its main function are hearing and balance of the body. Coming to photoreceptors present in the eye, which have a function of responsibility for visual stimulus. Coming to thermoreceptors, which are present on the skin, and its functions include receptors which are responsible for pain, touch, and heat stimuli. These receptors are also known as thermoreceptors. Olfactory receptors present in the nose perceive smell. Gustatory receptors present in the tongue helps in taste detection. To sum up, control and coordination in animals include nervous system and endocrine system. Main important things are the receptors, which are nothing but the sense organs. These includes phonoreceptors in the ear, hearing function, photoreceptors in the eye, visual stimulus, thermoreceptors in the skin for pain, touch, or heat stimuli, olfactory receptors in the nose for smell detection, and gustatory receptors in the tongue for taste detection. Now starting up with the nervous system. The nervous system is composed of specialized tissues called nervous tissue. The nerve cell or the neuron is the functional unit of the nervous system. It is the nervous system which is mainly responsible for control and coordination in complex animals. Coming to the functions of nervous system. Nervous system receives information from the environment. To receive the information from the various body, it acts according to the muscles and the glands. A neuron is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Now coming to parts of a neuron. A neuron is a structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Neuron is a highly specialized cell which is responsible for the transmission of impulses. The neuron consists of the following parts: cyton, axon, and the myelin sheath. What is a cyton or a cell body? The cell body of the cyton is somewhat star-shaped with many hair-like structures protruding out of the margin. These hair-like structures are called as dendrites. Dendrites receive the nerve impulses. So, this is the cell body. It consists of dendrites. Now, what is axon? Axon is the tail of the neuron. It ends in several hair-like structures called axon terminals. The axon terminals relay nerve impulses. So, this is the axon and these are axon terminals. What is a myelin sheath? There is an insulator cover around the axon. This is called the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath insulates the axon against nerve impulses from the surroundings. Now coming to the types of neuron, sensory neuron and a motor neuron. Sensory neuron receives signals from a sense organ, whereas motor neurons are neurons which send signals to a muscle or a gland. Association or relay neuron. These neurons relay the signals between sensory and motor neuron. Now what is a synapse? The point of contact between the terminal branches of axon of one neuron with the dendrite of another neuron is termed as synapse. What is a neuromuscular junction? Neuromuscular junction is the point where a muscle fiber comes in contact with a motor neuron carrying nerve impulse from the central nervous system. Transmission of a nerve impulse. The nerve impulses travel in this manner. The dendrites to the cell body, to the axon, to the nerve endings at the tip of the axon. It conducts a synapse and then to the dendrite of the next neuron. Chemical release from the axon tip of one neuron cross the synapse or the neuromuscular junction to reach the next cell. Now coming to the human nervous system. Human nervous system can be classified into three major types: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and the autonomous nervous system. The autonomous nervous system is again subdivided into two: sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Let's talk about each nervous system in detail. Central nervous system. The central nervous system is composed of the brain and the spinal cord. The brain controls all the functions in the human body. The spinal cord works as the relay channel for signals between the brain and the peripheral nervous system. What is the peripheral nervous system? Peripheral nervous system is composed of the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves, and the cranial nerves come out of the brain and go to the organs in the head region. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves, and these come out of the spinal cord and go to the organs which are below the head region. Now coming to autonomous nervous system. Autonomous nervous system is composed of a chain of nerve ganglion which runs along the spinal cord. It controls all the involuntary actions in the human body. The autonomous nervous system can be divided into two parts: sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, what is a parasympathetic nervous system and a sympathetic nervous system? Sympathetic nervous system is a part of the autonomous nervous system which heightens the activity of an organ as per the need. For example, during drowning, there is an increased demand for oxygen by the body. This is fulfilled by an increased breathing rate and an increased heart rate. The sympathetic nervous system works to increase the breathing rate, the heart rate in this case. Now coming to the parasympathetic nervous system, this part of the autonomous nervous system slows down the activity of an organ and thus has a calming effect. During sleep, the breathing rate slows down and so does the heart rate. This is facilitated by the parasympathetic nervous system. It can be said that the parasympathetic nervous system helps in the conservation of energy. Now, the next topic we learned was about the human nervous system. Human nervous system is divided into central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system. In the central nervous system, we have brain and the spinal cord. Brain is again subdivided into forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. Coming to the peripheral nervous system, it is divided into cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves are 12 pairs and these arise from the brain. Spinal nerves arise from the spinal cord. Coming to the autonomic nervous system, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Now coming to the human brain. The human brain is a highly complex organ which is mainly composed of the nervous tissue. The tissues are highly folded to accommodate a large surface area in less space. The brain is covered by a three-layered system of membranes called the meninges. The cerebrospinal fluid is filled between the meninges, and this provides cushioning effect to the brain against the mechanical shocks. The human brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain, and the human brain can be divided into forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. Coming to the forebrain, it is composed of the cerebrum. The midbrain is composed of the hypothalamus, and the hindbrain is composed of the cerebellum, pons, medulla oblongata. Coming to cerebrum, it is the largest part in the human brains, and it is divided into two hemispheres called the cerebral hemispheres. The functions of cerebrum is to control voluntary motor actions, and it is the site of sensory perceptions like tactile and auditory perceptions. It is the seat of learning and memory. Coming to hypothalamus, it lies at the base of the cerebrum and it controls the sleep-wake cycle or the circadian rhythm of the body. It also controls the urges for eating and drinking. Coming to cerebellum, it lies below the cerebrum and at the back of the whole structure. It coordinates the motor functions. When you're riding your bicycle, the perfect coordination between your pedaling and steering control is achieved by the cerebellum. It controls posture and balance and also controls the precision of voluntary action. Coming to the medulla, medulla forms the brainstem along with the pons. It lies at the base of the brain and continues into the spinal cord. The medulla controls various involuntary functions like heartbeat and respiration. It also controls involuntary actions. Examples include blood pressure, salivation, and vomiting. Pons, it relays the impulses between the lower cerebellum and spinal cord and higher parts of the brain like the cerebrum and the midbrain, and it also regulates respiration. Coming to the spinal cord, it controls the reflex action and conducts messages between different parts of the body and brain. Now coming to reflex action. Reflex action is a special case of involuntary movement or involuntary organs. When a voluntary organ is in the vicinity of sudden danger, it is immediately pulled away from the danger to save itself. For example, when your hand touches a very hot electric iron, you move away your hand in a jerk. All of this happens in a flash and your hand is saved from the imminent injury. This is an example of a reflex action. Coming to the reflex arc, the path through which nerve signals involved in a reflex action travels is termed as reflex arc. The following flowchart shows the flow of signals. Receptors to the sensory neuron to the relay neuron and then the motor neuron to the effector or the muscle. The receptor is the organ which comes in the danger zone. The sensory neurons pick signals from the receptor and send them to the relay neuron. The relay neuron is present in the spinal cord and the spinal cord sends the signals to the effector via the motor neuron. The effector comes in contact with this and then relieves it from the danger. The reflex arc passes at the level of the spinal cord and the signals involved in reflex action do not travel up to the brain. This is important because sending signals to the brain would involve more time. Although every action is ultimately controlled by the brain, the reflex action is mainly controlled at the level of spinal cord. Protection of brain and spinal cord. Brain is protected by a fluid balloon which acts as shock absorber and enclosed in a cranium or the brain box. Spinal cord is enclosed in the vertebral column. Muscular movements and the nervous control. Muscle tissues have special filaments called actin and myosin. When a muscle receives a nerve signals, a series of events is triggered in the muscle. Calcium ions enter the muscle cells. It results in actin and myosin filaments sliding towards each other, and that is how a muscle contracts. Contraction in a muscle brings movement in the related organ. The endocrine system is composed of several endocrine glands. A ductless gland is termed as an endocrine gland. Endocrine gland secretes its product directly into the bloodstream. Hormones are produced in the endocrine glands. Hormone is mainly composed of protein. Hormones assist the nervous system in controlling and coordination. Nerves do not react to every nook and corner of the body, and hence hormones are needed to affect control and coordination in those parts. Moreover, unlike nervous control, hormonal control is somewhat slower. Hormones. These are chemical messengers secreted in very small amounts by specialized tissues called ductless glands. They act on target tissues or organs, usually away from their source. Endocrine system helps in control and coordination through chemical compounds termed hormones. What is an endocrine gland? A ductless gland that secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream is termed as an endocrine gland. Endocrine gland, its location, its hormones produced, and its function. The first gland is the pituitary gland, which is also known as the master gland. It's located at the base of the brain, and hormones produced there are the growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, and the follicle stimulating hormone. Its function include growth hormone stimulates growth, thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the functioning of thyroid gland, and the follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the follicles during ovulation. Coming to the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is located in the neck, and hormones produced by the thyroid gland are thyroxine. These control general metabolism and growth in the body. Coming to the adrenal gland. Adrenal glands are located above the kidneys, and the hormone produced is adrenaline. It prepares the body for emergency situations, and hence it is also called as the fight and flight hormone. Coming to the pancreas. These are located near the stomach and secretes insulin. This controls the blood sugar level. The endocrine gland present in the male is testis, which is located in the scrotum and produces testosterone. Its function include sperm production and development of secondary sexual characters during puberty. The endocrine gland present in the female is ovary. These are located near the uterus and secretes estrogen. The function includes egg production and development of secondary sexual characters during puberty. Now let's talk about what is goiter. Iodized salt is necessary because iodine material is essential for the part of thyroid hormone, and it's important that we must consume iodized salt, as in turn it is essential for the thyroid gland as it controls the carbohydrate, protein and fat metabolism for best balance of growth deficiency of iodine, which might cause diseases called goiter. Diabetes. Its cause is due to the deficiency of insulin hormone secreted by pancreas, which is responsible to lower the blood sugar levels. Treatment includes patients have to internally administer injection of insulin hormone, which helps in regulating blood sugar level. In case of flight or fight reaction to an emergency situation, adrenal gland releases adrenaline into the blood, which acts on heart and other tissues and causes faster heartbeat. More oxygen to the muscle, reduced blood supply to the digestive system and skin, diversion of blood to skeletal muscles, and there is also increase in breathing rate. Feedback mechanism, a type of self-regulating mechanism in which the level of one substance in the body influences the level of another, is termed as the feedback mechanism. This is all about the control and coordination in animals. Now coming to control and coordination in plants. We'll be dealing about movements in plants and plant hormones. Coordination in plants. Unlike animals, plants do not have a nervous system. Plants use chemical means for control and coordination. Many plant hormones are responsible for various kinds of movements in plants. Movements in plants can be divided into tropic movement and nastic movement. Coming to tropic movement, the movements which are in a particular direction in relation to the stimulus is termed as tropic movement. Tropic movements happen as a result of growth of a plant part in a particular direction. There are four types of tropic movement: geotropic movement, phototropic movement, hydrotropic movement, and thigmotropism movement. Now let's talk about each in detail. Coming to geotropic movement, the growth in a plant part in response to gravity is called as geotropic movement. Roots usually show positive geotropic movement, such that they grow in the direction of the gravity. Stems usually show negative geotropic movement. They grow in the opposite direction of gravity. Next, coming to phototropic movement. Phototropic movement. The growth in a plant part in response to light is called phototropic movement. Stems usually show positive phototropic movement while roots show negative phototropic movement. If a plant is kept in a container in which no sunlight reaches and a hole in the container allows some sunlight, the stem finally grows in the direction of the sunlight. This happens because of a higher rate of cell division in the part of a stem which is away from the sunlight. As a result, the stem bends towards the light. The heightened rate of cell division is attained by increasing secretion of the plant hormone Auxin, in which it is away from the sunlight. Now coming to hydrotropic movement. When root grows in the soil, they usually grow towards the nearest source of water. This shows a positive hydrotropic movement. Stigmotropism movement. The growth in a plant part in response to touch is termed as stigmotropism movement. Such movements are seen in the tendrils of climbers. The tendril grows in a way so as it can coil around a support. The differential rate of cell division in different parts of the tendril happens due to the action of auxin. Now coming to the nastic movement. The movement which do not depend on the direction from the stimulus are termed as nastic movement. For example, when someone touches the leaves of mimosa, the leaves droop. The drooping is independent of the direction from which the leaves are touched. Such movements usually happen because of changing water balance in the cells. When leaves of mimosa are touched, the cells in the leaves lose water and become flaccid, resulting in drooping of leaves. So, coming to coordination in plants, a small sum up. Tropic movement and nastic movement. Tropic movement, movement dependent on growth, and nastic movement, movement independent on growth. Coming to tropic movement, these are directional movement in response to stimulus and of four types: phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism, and hydrotropism. Phototropism is the movement towards light, geotropism towards gravity, chemotropism towards chemicals or the growth of pollen tube, and hydrotropism towards water. Coming to nastic movement, which is the movement independent of growth, non-directional movement, immediate response to stimulus. Example, drooping of leaves of touch-me-not plant on touching it. Now coming to the plant hormones. Plant hormones are chemicals which help to coordinate growth, development, and responses to the environment. Types of plant hormones. Main plant hormones include auxin, which are synthesized at the shoot tip. Its function is to help in growth. Phototropism, more growth of cell towards the light. Gibberellin, which helps in the growth of the stem. Cytokinins, which promotes cell division. Abscisic acid, which inhibits growth and causes wilting of leaves. This is the stress hormone. Let's have a small recap on control and coordination in animals and plants Now let's have a small recap on control and coordination in animals and plants. Coming to control and coordination in animals, first let's define what is a stimuli. The change in the environment to which the organism responds is stimuli. Coordination is the working together of various organs of an organism in a systemic manner to produce a proper response. Neuron is the functional unit of the nervous system. Synapse is a microscopic gap between a pair of adjacent neurons. Receptor is a cell in a sense organ which is sensitive to stimuli. Motor nerves carries the message from the brain to the body parts for action. Sensory nerves carries the message from the body to the brain. Olfactory receptor detects smell by the nose. Gustatory receptor detects taste by tongue. Thermoreceptor detects heat and cold by skin. Photoreceptor detects light by eye. Reflex action is a sudden movement or response to the stimulus which occurs in a very short duration of time and does not involve any will or thinking of the brain. Brain is an organ present in the skull which controls and regulates the activity of the whole body and is known as the president of the body. Cerebrum is a main thinking part of the brain present in the forebrain area which controls all voluntary actions. Cerebellum is present in the hindbrain area and helps in maintaining posture and balance of the body. Medulla is present in the hindbrain area and helps in controlling voluntary actions of the brain. Spinal cord is a cylindrical structure of nerve fibers enclosed in the vertebral column which helps in the conduction of nerve impulses to and from the brain. Now coming to the control and coordination in plants. Stimuli. The change in environment to which an organism responds is termed as stimuli. Co-ordination, working together of various organs of an organism in a systemic manner to produce a proper response, is termed as coordination. Phyto-hormones, these are plant hormones. Auxin is a plant hormone which promotes cell enlargement and growth in plants. Gibberellin is a plant hormone which promotes cell differentiation and breaking dormancy of seeds and buds. Coming to Cytokinins, a plant hormone which promotes cell division and the opening of stomata. Abscisic acid, which helps in inhibiting the growth of the plant and promotes wilting and falling of leaves and fruit. Tropism, a growth movement of a plant which determines the direction with the stimulus. Nastism, a growth movement of a plant which does not determine direction with the stimulus. Phototropism, movement of plant towards the light. Geotropism, movement of plants towards the gravity of earth. Chemotropism, movement of plants towards the chemical. Hydrotropism, movement of plants towards the water. And thigmotropism, movement of plants towards a response to the touch of an object. Please don't forget to like,